Okay guys, so before I jump into this review for Season 0 Chapter 181, I want to talk quickly about what's been going on over in Fairy Tail 100 Your Request. Even though I have not been reviewing that series, which I should get back into because a lot of crazy things have been happening, I still have been keeping up with it. And over the weekend, I was about I want to say 2 chapters behind, so I decided to read those last 2 chapters I need to catch up on. And damn, I really want to quickly talk about, without any spoilers, what happened to Lucy in that chapter, that latest chapter, which I'm sure by now the entirety of the internet has seen, but in case you haven't, I won't exactly spoil what happened to her, but just know that something very big happened to Lucy in this last chapter, and the only thing I can say to it is, damn. Seriously, it seems like Hiro, because I believe Hiro is still the one writing the story. I know he's not doing the art on it, but I believe he is the one still scripting it out. But it seems like he's taking his dark writing style from Eden Zero and transferring it over to 100 Years Quest, because a lot of dark things have been happening over in that series since the last time I talked about it on this channel, which again, I really need to get back into reviewing that series when it comes out. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to seeing what happens in the next chapter, because what happened to Lucy in this last one, it really has me wondering how legit that situation is. Because if it is, that's going to have huge ramifications for the series going forward. But anyway, enough about Fairy Tail 100 Your Quest, so let's just get right into the Eden Zero chapter, which this chapter actually starts off with a narration from Xiao Mei, which usually I look forward to because I love Xiao Mei. She's one of my favorite characters from the series. I just love her design, I love her, bubbliness. But in the beginning of this chapter, Xiao Mei is very serious, the most serious we've seen her, in my opinion, since the series began. Which leads me to think that something is very, very bad is going to end up happening in this arc, which we already kind of figured was going to happen because of the plan that they actually came up with in order to take down Ziggy and Dead and Crow. Because, I mean, the idea of them summoning a chronophage and them being able to get out of there scot-free is just completely insane in my opinion. There's no way that's going to end up happening. Someone's going to end up dying in this arc. I'm in the personal opinion it's going to end up being Hermit, but after reading the chapter all the way through, I'm kind of throwing my hat in that maybe Elsie might end up being the one who dies in this arc at some point. Which, personally, if she ends up dying, I think that also means that Justice is going to end up dying as well. So more than likely, if we actually end up seeing him get involved in the arc later on, more than likely that prediction is going to end up coming true. But we'll get into that later. Anyway, jumping right into the chapter, we have the 3 teams, Elsie's crew, Holly's crew, and Shiki and Eden Zero crew, getting ready to invade Lindard. And we actually start the chapter off with a kind of inspiring speech from Connor, which on the one hand was very inspiring. Actually is a very nice, well done speech on his behalf, but at the same time I kind of feel like that's actually the speech that Shiki should have gave as the actual leader of the team, which again brings me back to my problem of the idea of Connor being titled as the captain of the crew, because of the fact that again Shiki is the actual leader of the team, so he should hold that title and he should be the one doing these kind of inspirational speeches. But I want to give Connor credit. What he says in this chapter actually is very inspiring and actually does kind of put forward the idea that they actually have to win this fight no matter what the cost is. Then we briefly check in with Elsie and her crew, and we see that even though they're in a very, very tense situation, they're all kind of just joking about the fact that even though they're space pirates and criminals, they're playing the roles of heroes right now by trying to protect the universe from Ziggy by taking down him and Lindard, which is actually a sentiment we see over in One Piece a lot, because even though Luffy and the Straw Hat crew don't consider themselves to be heroes, they're constantly doing things each arc that is very heroic, like rescuing entire nations from their oppressors, like what they're doing right now over in the Wano arc. So them talking about that in this chapter kind of reminded me of One Piece, which this series constantly is doing. Anyway, basically during the sequence when we actually check in with Elsie's crew, we see Elsie basically declaring that she will be the one to kill Ziggy herself, which, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, leads me to think that Elsie is going to end up dying in this arc if it's not Hermit, because of the fact that her making this declaration that she wants to be the one to take down Ziggy, in conjunction with the fact that back in the last arc near the end of it, they said that the next time the 2 of them meet, one of them's going to end up dying, which means that if the 2 of them actually do end up meeting in this arc, then most likely Elsie's going to be the one that ends up dying. Which is actually kind of sad because Elsie is a fan favorite character. She's definitely one of my top 5 characters in the series. I mean, we haven't really seen her do all that much, I know, but just that fight between her and Justice alone was enough to basically propel her from being in my top 10 to my top 5. And actually, speaking of Justice, I think it'll actually confirm her dying in this arc if he actually ends up showing up and getting involved, because of the fact that I kind of figured that, especially since we got that one chapter, that one scene of the 2 of them stabbing each other and almost killing each other off at the same time, I think that Hiro plans on killing the 2 characters off at the same time, because I mean at this point it's kind of clear that Hiro is drawing inspiration for their storyline from Romeo and Juliet, which we all know how that ended. Then we head over to Holly's Midnight Fleet and we get to meet who I assume are her second and third in command, which is Ibuki and Shiro, which I love the character design for both these characters. I hope we get to see more of them in this arc. But anyway, basically they're questioning whether or not they actually should be teaming up with LZ and Shiki, but Holly kind of reassures them that, hey, this is their best bet of basically taking down Dead and Crow, and she also tells them that once Dead and Crow is dead, to prepare the immaculate military operation, which again is hinting at the idea that once they succeed in their goal of taking them out, they're planning on betraying LZ and Shiki, which I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how that ends up working out for them, especially with what ends up happening at the end of the chapter. I think that's going to throw a huge wrench into their plans. But anyway, after that we check in with the Eden Zero crew, mostly just Rebecca and Happy, and we see that she's still kind of, she's still kind of down by the fact that she's the one that actually caused Norma to actually be affected by the chronophage. But Happy basically ends up repeating what Y said in the last chapter, which makes her feel a little bit better. She's still very obviously down by what happened to Norma, but at least she's now completely focused on the mission, which Shiki actually reassures her by saying that he's going to be with her 100% of the way, and he's going to protect her no matter what happens, which she obviously ends up finding to be very reassuring, which also hints at the idea that maybe something might end up happening to Rebecca in this arc as well, but we'll have to wait and see on that part. Anyway, they actually launched the attack on Lindard, starting off with Shiki and his gang in their Starfleet, or in their Starfighters, taking out all the automated, defense androids that they had around the planet. And at first it seems like everything's going as planned. Then out of nowhere, in the middle of the fight, a bunch of dragons, like a huge swarm of dragons, surround Lindard and start attacking Shiki and the gang and LZ and their crew, and also Holly. And what we end up finding out that is, apparently not only did Ziggy partner up with Dead and Crow, but he also partnered up with the Mother of Dragons, Agnolia, it's something like that. I never really figured out exactly how to pronounce the name, but still, this is actually pretty interesting because I had no idea up until this point that she was also a bot. But finding that out in this chapter and getting her full character design is actually pretty cool. I actually really dig her character design. I mean, it's a little weird when you look at it, but it's also cool at the same time. It's, it's very Hiro Mashima. Anyway, now that she's here and we find out she's working with Ziggy and his crew, things just got a lot harder for Shiki and the gang because now they have 3 OSG members to contend with. Which, I mean, yeah, they have 2 OSG members and an OSI member on their team. So you could kind of split it up that each one of them are going to take out a different member of the OSGs. But still, I don't think they have enough firepower between the 3 of them to take down all 3 of these OSG members. Which leads me to think that more than likely Dead and Crow is going to be the only one to end up dying in this arc, with Ziggy and Agnolia, or actually, I believe it's actually, yeah, Agnolia, with those 2 basically escaping by the end of the arc. And if they actually do manage to take down both Agnolia and Dead and Crow, that means there's going to be a casualty on our side as well, which again leads me to think that either Herman is going to end up dying, or both Justice and LZ will die in this arc. But anyway guys, this is for the chapter. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of the fact that Agnolia is involved in this conflict as well. I'm hoping we actually do get to see a 3-way fight between each of the 3 OSG and OSI members that are on Shiki's team, and the 3 OSG members on Ziggy's team, where each one of them actually pairs up against one the other, and we get to see a one-on-one fight. Even though I don't think that's going to go well for any of them, I'm still looking forward to it. But that's it for the video guys, thanks for watching, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you all in the next review. Peace.